Are we live?
Hey, what up? Mr. Manager here once again with the third of four Group A prediction videos for this upcoming 2022 World Cup, which actually kicked off today. We're taking a look at the second half of Group A, who start playing tomorrow. In addition, we have Group B starting tomorrow. So let's take a look at the third of four in Group A, the West African nation of Senegal. Senegal's not a giant country, population of 17.2 million. They speak French there in addition to some other languages, and the capital is Dakar. Let's take a second to peep their history internationally. So this is their third World Cup appearance. In 2002, they made it all the way to the quarterfinals. That was their debut tournament. Then their last appearance was in the 2018 World Cup. And in the 2018 World Cup, they were actually eliminated in the group stage, and they lost this really weird tiebreaker that I've never heard of in any other competition. Japan advanced instead of Senegal because Japan had less yellow cards. Seems somewhat arbitrary to me, but whatever. So Senegal definitely excited to get back into this tournament and get another chance at redemption and making it out of the group stage again. They certainly have a chance in this group. The Dutch are a good team. Ecuador is a good team. Qatar have a host nation behind them. But Senegal, I would say most are predicting to get second out of this group. Second behind the Dutch, that is. One thing quickly of note, they are the current African champions. So they won the 2021 AFCON tournament. Funnily enough, they defeated Egypt on penalties to win that game. This was a fun matchup with Sadio Mane at that time of Liverpool playing against Mo Salah of that time, and currently at Liverpool. So Senegal beats Egypt on penalties in that tournament, as well as to qualify for this tournament. In the African World Cup qualifying, they made it to round 3, where the winner goes automatically to the World Cup. They defeated Egypt in round 3 of African qualifying on penalties. So Egypt, in the span of a couple of years, has lost to Senegal twice on penalties. Just one thing that reminds me of that I want to say before I forget is that this Senegal team has experience in tournaments playing competitive games together. They are a solid team. They've got a good core. 2018 World Cup core, some of those players are still there. Obviously, 2021 was just a year ago, so that AFCON winning team, this is basically the same team. Let's move on to players to watch. The obvious one is Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane, for a player that does not play for Arsenal, is easily one of my favorite players in the world. Even when he was at Liverpool scoring goals against Arsenal, I liked him. He's incredible. He's one of the best wingers in the world. Hasn't gotten off to an amazing start with Bayern since moving this summer, but that's to be expected. It's, you're changing leagues and also you're fitting into a new team. He had been with Klopp and Liverpool for so long. Just want to say really quick, in addition to him being a dope player, that he is, from everything I've heard in the news, just an incredibly kind and charitable guy. So just a great player to support, a great reason to root for Senegal, period, because he's just one of the best players and one of the kindest players, I think, off the field in the tournament. Unfortunately, he did pick up a knock recently, and there was some doubt as to whether or not he was going to travel with the team at all, if he was going to even be on the roster. He is with them. We will see how quickly he comes back. Possible maybe he misses the game against the Dutch and then plays in either the Ecuador or Qatar game. Obviously, ideally, they'd like to have their best player playing against the best team in the group. Anyways, let's move on to somebody in the back for Senegal. Kalidou Koulibaly. He is a towering central defender who played for Napoli for years. It feels like many, many, many years, and was always linked with a big money move to the Premier League, whether it was with Arsenal or some other big team. He ended up making the move, as you can see in the picture above me, to Chelsea. And, as much as it pains for me to say this about a Chelsea player, I would kill to have him on our squad. I think he is a fantastic center back. He's strong, got decent pace, good in the air, intelligent. And I also like that he can play some balls for the Senegal team to really get them up into transition quickly. He's got a good eye for like a cross-field pass. So look for them to try and kind of counter quickly from time to time with the Koulibaly playing directly through to one of their pacey forwards or pacey wings. Moving on to right behind Koulibaly, actually, this is a player to watch for a lot of reasons. So when Edouard Mendy came to Chelsea, he displaced the current keeper, Kepa, and looked like a world beater. Like, he looked incredible. I was really jealous that they had him. And he's had some inconsistent times for Chelsea and recently just lost his spot to Kepa, although that is kind of a position that is in flux with coaching changes and a lot of change at Chelsea. And they're both good keepers, but they both have a mistake in them. He's played really well for Senegal, and the Senegal team is solid at the back and they're solid in the midfield. So I am describing him as a player to watch because, one, he's talented, but also he's the kind of guy that might make a mistake that could cost Senegal. So I'm just fascinated by him. I think he's an interesting character, so I'll be keeping my eye on Edouard Mendy. Speaking of that midfield that I just mentioned a second ago, Idrissa Gueye, defensive mid, sometimes a center mid, but typically playing, especially as he gets older, as a holding mid, a center defensive mid, plays for Everton. He's not the most prolific player, but he does his role, and he could, if they, I believe, advance to the round of 16, he could become the most capped player of all time for Senegal. He's been a core player of this team for a long time. He's just kind of a workman midfielder that is going to allow the other players of Senegal to shine in front of him, whether that is Sadio Mane, Ismaïla Sarr, a lot of these players that are more attack-minded. Just in general, their midfield is pretty solid and has some veteran presences in it. I think it's a very, very good midfield. Let's move on to how they might qualify. So they've been playing well. As you see here, this is a picture of them winning the African Cup of Nations, within the last year or so. They won a big tournament. There's a lot of good teams in Africa. So if they keep playing the way they've been playing, they'll advance, I think. It's kind of on them. If they slip up, then somebody can nab second from them, probably Ecuador. But they should advance second and really have a chance to advance first, if I'm being honest. Obviously, a lot depends on Mane's health. I think they could be in contention to advance if he doesn't play at all, and then maybe he comes back for the round of 16 if that's possible, but obviously they're better with him. And like I said, if Mendy stays mistake-free, then I think that they will be a tough team to score against. So why should we cheer for them? Why should we cheer for Senegal? So I said underdog, but I said underdog history for a reason, because yes, they are historical underdogs. This is only their third World Cup. They're not a wealthy nation. They don't have a huge footballing history, although they've produced many talented footballers. That 2002 team really kind of captured the hearts and imaginations of neutral fans everywhere. So we still kind of think of them as that team. And while they didn't advance from the 2018 World Cup, they just won the Africa Cup of Nations. Sadio Mane is one of the best players in the world. It's hard to call them an underdog in this tournament specifically, but if we are looking at the historical context of a Senegal team, a West African team going far in the World Cup, we can still, I think, look at them as an underdog nation, if not just simply from an economic point of view, right? So, last thing we got here, reason to cheer for them. This is a team. This is a really cohesive team. They've played together for many years. They work hard together. They have unity and what appears to be a very strong chemistry. So I just like to see that. A lot of these national teams, it's not the players' fault, but they play all over the world. They play in different leagues. They have very little time to spend together and working on some cohesion and some chemistry, and they it almost feels like mercenaries, just going to play for their nation in some countries. That is not the case with Senegal. This is a veteran team. They've been together for a couple of tournaments. They know their roles. They trust each other, and I think that it's fun to watch a team that plays like that. I have Ecuador going through, and for the record, I had that before Ecuador beat Qatar today. I do have Ecuador going through, but I will say that Senegal could get anywhere from third, which I think is probably not the most likely, to second or first. I think they could, if they put it together, finish above the Dutch easily. They are a good team. Speaking of the Dutch, that's the next video I got for y'all. Thanks for watching. I'm Mr. Manager. Peace.